80,000 Ottoman soldiers, 7,000 defenders, in 53 days. The greatest city in Christendom stood alone, and in just 53 days, it fell. The population had shrunk. Trade had withered. Across the water, a rising empire prepared to strike. The ragtag force included Genoese mercenaries under the veteran Giovanni Giustiniani, monks, peasants, and old soldiers. They had almost no naval support, few supplies, and one hope: the strength of their walls. Constantinople's triple walls had repelled invaders for centuries. But as May approached, tempers frayed. Byzantine leaders squabbled amongst themselves. Giustiniani clashed with the imperial court. But while the call for aid reached out across the Christian world, only a handful of ships actually made it to the city. Desperate, Constantine turned to the west. But while Venetian and Papal troops were expected, neither came. The city was on its own. Food dwindled, morale cracked. The ceaseless cannon fire took its toll. And as the Ottomans grew bolder, it seemed the city might soon fall. And the Ottoman Empire would rule the Mediterranean for the next 5 centuries. And outside, the cannon fire never ceased. Then a few ships broke through the blockade to deliver supplies. Let's take a look at what the historians are saying when you talk about why the Byzantines lost. Listen, we get it. You're a fan favorite. We love you guys. For centuries, the eastern half of the empire had kept the flame of classical learning alive, and now that flame was extinguished. The Middle Ages were over. Classical antiquity was ancient history. But fear not, dear viewer. While Constantinople was lost, the story of the classical world didn't end there. It lived on in Renaissance Italy, where scholars unearthed Roman texts, rediscovered Greek philosophy, and built upon the achievements of the classical past. But let's be real, the Byzantines weren't exactly in a position to turn down aid, any aid. But their religious differences with Rome proved to be a stumbling block. And don't miss out on meeting the brilliant minds of the Islamic world. Drop a comment below and let's chat about it. Plus, be sure to check out our other videos on related historical events. There's so much more to uncover. All this and more is waiting for you in our series, only on our platform. Discover how Muslim scholars preserved ancient knowledge and shared it with the West, ultimately shaping our history. Despite the pleas from the defenders, the Pope hesitated, asking for more time to raise an army. Meanwhile, Western Europe was exhausted from decades of war. Famine stalked the land. Trade had slowed. Few were eager to head to the front. By the time Venetian relief forces arrived, it was too late. The Byzantine Empire was done. Relief had arrived, or so the people of Constantinople hoped. We saw the decadent Byzantine Empire ripe for the taking. Some blame the papacy's hesitancy, while others point to Byzantine missteps. Still, others argue that Mehmed's ambition sealed the deal. What do you think? Was the fall of Constantinople inevitable? Or could the city have been saved? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. With a powerful army and little opposition, the young Sultan conquered most of the Balkans and laid siege to the last bastion of Byzantine power. And let's be honest, the man was obsessed. He'd watched his father and grandfather lay siege to Constantinople for years. And when those attempts failed, he decided to do it himself. But Mehmed was impatient. He'd grown up hearing tales of his predecessors' failures and wanted to succeed where they had failed. So he threw everything at the city, cannon fire day and night, constant attacks, wave after wave. When the wall breached, he rushed in, exploiting the advantage. Some say his relentless nature was key to ending the siege. Now they faced a new threat. In 1451, a 19-year-old sultan named Mehmed the Conqueror rose to the Ottoman throne. The first surge broke against the walls, but then came the Janissaries, elite troops handpicked from across the Ottoman realms. Inside the city, Constantine fought fiercely, though outnumbered. He rallied the remaining defenders, hacking and slashing. But the genie was out of the bottle. As the men of the Sultan poured into the streets, the city fell into chaos. Citizens fled, some hiding in their homes, others running into the hills outside the city. Looting and slaughter quickly followed. Constantine desperately raced towards the Church of the Holy Apostles, throwing off his imperial robes to do battle in shirt sleeves. Legend has it that there he fell, dying fighting alongside his soldiers. They surged forward, driving back the Byzantine lines. Giustiniani was wounded. The defenders began to falter. Over the next few months, he reorganized the city, restructuring the government, building mosques, founding schools and hospitals. The Hagia Sophia, the church that Constantine had built over 1,000 years before, he turned into a mosque. The Orthodox Patriarch was converted to Islam, and the city became the seat of the Ottoman Empire. As the dust settled, a small gate, the Kirka Porta, was left open. The sentry had fallen asleep. On April 6th, the first cannon fired. Day after day, thunder shook the earth. Massive stones slammed into the walls, cracking them, but not breaking them. At night, the defenders scrambled to repair the breaches. Giustiniani led sorties to sabotage Ottoman positions, cutting down siege works, harassing troops. Mehmed responded with ever heavier bombardment, sending forward elite Janissary infantry to drive back the defenders. Too young, many said. Too inexperienced, they added. Mehmed had other ideas. Obsessed with making his mark on history, he knew what everyone overlooked: the legendary city of Constantinople. The jewel of the Eastern Mediterranean, the seat of Christendom in the East. Conquering the city would make him a legend. And so he spent months preparing for the coming campaign, readying his armies, readying his weapons, forging massive cannons, banding together troops from across his empire. By April 1453, over 80,000 Ottoman soldiers were ready to attack. The fall of Constantinople in 1453 wasn't just the end of a siege, it was the end of an era. For over 1,000 years, Constantinople was the beating heart of the Byzantine Empire, fortress city that had withstood countless invasions, Persians, Arabs, even Crusaders. Founded by Constantine the Great in 330 AD, the city stood at the crossroads of East and West, guarding the passage between Europe and Asia. Its walls were legendary, its riches unimaginable. Its fall was unthinkable, but by the 15th century, the empire was but a shadow of its former glory. Inside the walls of Constantinople, Emperor Constantine, the 11th Palaiologos, rallied just 7,000 defenders. 7,000 to stand against an army larger than Rome's when it sacked the city in 410. Mehmed had brought a new weapon, the basilica, a giant cannon capable of hurling 600-pound stone balls. For weeks, the city held. Food ran low, morale was high. On May, Pope Nicholas V proclaimed a crusade. Then on May, Mehmed ordered the final assault. Waves of Ottoman soldiers charged, overwhelming the defenders. Word spread like wildfire, and before anyone could react, waves of Ottoman troops poured through the opening. When it was all over, Mehmed rode through the ruined city. The jewel of the East was his. Across the Christian world, shockwaves rippled through Christendom. The Turks were at the gates. The Middle Ages were dead. Was the fall of Constantinople inevitable? Could the city have been saved? Perhaps. But let's shift focus to the Ottomans. Can you imagine being in Mehmed's shoes? So what does this all mean? Historians debate the fall of Constantinople to this day, arguing over the causes and consequences. In the meantime, here at Wendover, we've been thinking about how the fall of Constantinople ended the medieval era. Curious about this game-changing moment in history. Dive into our series about historical figures in ancient cities and civilizations. Then, we'll take you on a journey through the Crusades, exploring how Europe's obsession with the Holy Land set the stage for the Ottoman conquest. We'd love to hear your thoughts on the fall of Constantinople.
Thanks for watching.